Welcome to the Game Journal for May 2021. We do not have many games this month, but what we do have is pretty worthwhile. So let's hop on into it. Resident Evil Village, the newest game in the legendary survival horror series by Capcom. The game takes heavy inspiration from Resident Evil 4, but follows up with the first-person style of Resident Evil 7. The game starts strong, with early sections being well-paced and parts offering more exploration. Later sections become more linear and feel rushed, while others lag on for too long considering the lack of interesting environment and set pieces. Gameplay is solid and action-packed, but compared to DLCs from the previous mainline entry, Resident Evil 7, and the main inspiration, Resident Evil 4, it lacks depth to really shine as an action game with lack of features such as follow-up attacks and dodging. Weapon variety is underwhelming as well. There are free pistols and free shotguns, which is fine, but only one rifle, one grenade launcher, 2 assault rifles, which are locked behind New Game Plus only. A fair amount of these bonus weapons feel like they should have been acquirable in the main game. There are super weapons that make sense as unlockable, but are mostly just regular weapons. Story is intriguing at first, but quickly becomes unimportant to the game until the last 20%. Plot twists that hook the player are underwhelming, but lore and late game reveals are interesting, and the game ends leaving the player interested in what the future of the series holds. The game's post-game content is lacking, but not non-existent. Mercenaries mode is fun, but very different from previous entries. The lack of multiple characters means that once you beat a stage with a high rank, there's little reason to replay for a higher rank due to the lack of rewards. You can unlock new skills, but skills are available randomized, making these rewards barely useful. Harder stages also limit your loadout, giving you less variety in how you tackle the stage and restricting your playstyle. New Game Plus lets you carry over items and weapons from the previous runs, which makes the game a breeze with only the hardest mode providing any challenge while only making minor changes to the game, removing the chance of having a fresh experience with the game again. Swapping key items and progression could make the game worthy of an extra proper playthrough compared to the usual speedrun replays. All in all, the game is a solid entry in a series that blends action and horror extremely well and leaves me interested in the future games. But the series is beginning to feel tedious with its yearly releases and similar pacing and issues. Days Gone. The open-world zombie game developed by Ben Studios recently re-released on PC. The game is often bland and generic, but it still manages to be enjoyable with hints of something that could be really great. Gameplay consists of receiving missions and traveling to locations to do a handful of tasks, from killing freaks and marauders, tracking people, gathering supplies, and chasing people on motorcycles. Usually, after receiving a mission, you will have to go to a location. Travel is usually by your motorcycle, which requires gas to function. Early on, you usually only have enough gas to get to where you need and not enough to get back, meaning you will have to find a way to refuel before leaving. This seems like a really interesting mechanic, but every source of the gas in the game is an infinite resource and spawns are always the same. So once you find a gas can, you can always come back to it to refuel. This combined with fast travel leads the game to becoming you just fast traveling to the closest locations to a nearest objective on the map and trying to find a gas can nearby to travel to the rest of the way. This turns the late game from a zombie hunting game into a gas station attendant simulator. Combat is pretty solid, with early game being very limited on ammo and melee weapons having low durability, requiring you to carefully plan out how you were going to tackle an objective and making stealth a big focus. Later on, weapons hold more ammo and do more damage, making combat that was once very careful and tense into mindless cover shooting. The game features skill points that you can earn as you play, letting you unlock new abilities, but these are locked behind tiers, requiring you to often spend points on skills you don't want in order to unlock skills you do. These also contribute to the game being underwhelming in the late game, with skills that restore your health with headshots, make you deal more damage, have better accuracy, and even be able to sprint longer. Late game, I often didn't even care to take cover in a shootout and just slowly move forward, only pausing to increase my aim for headshots and taking damage due to my large health bar, large amount of healing items, and healing skills. Fighting freaks early game is a careful task due to them being easy to handle alone, but in large numbers they become dangerous, with encountering a horde being something that completely changes how you plan and handle a situation. Late game, this turns into you throwing explosives and running away while turning around to mow down crowds with an assault rifle. And while enjoyable at first, it becomes a chore and takes away the last feeling of danger in the entire game. I wish the game focused more on these survival and resource mechanics more. Story is very bland and forgettable. Deacon St. John himself is an enjoyable character due to being the kind of unhinged person who would do the things the player does in the game, but starting the game when every character feels like an insane asshole or just a name and a face to try and get the player to care about. Every group you encounter seems to be bad in different ways, which you start to think is a theme of the game until the second act, where you get to camp with actually decent people. The game slowly has you become a member of the camp and makes you feel as if the story is about letting go the past and moving on with life and finding new meaning to live for. The end of the act has Deacon finally find info that could lead to his presumed to be dead wife, and seems to act as if he is throwing away everything he has built with these people in order to chase the past. However, the final act has Deacon join a militia and discover his wife is alive and part of it, requiring him to work with them as he tries to figure out a way to escape. This has you work with insane people again and work towards a vague goal that you don't actually feel like you're making progress on, and only just happen to have a way to escape suddenly. This fails and you are sent back to the previous camp, who just welcome you like you never left and helps you create a plan to save your wife. You pull off the plan, save her, destroy the militia, and the game is over. The message and theme of the story seem to jump around and never stay consistent or meaningful. It just creates problems and solves them as it wishes without the player even feeling like they work towards anything. The last act is a slog due to having powerful weaponry and a smaller open world to explore, making the tedious parts of the gameplay really stick out, and the story missions having you work for people you hate, making you question what you're even doing and when you're going to progress the plot. Despite its many flaws, Days Gone was an enjoyable experience that, while often bland, still had its moments and made me wish the game would get a sequel that improves on these ideas. And that is the Game Journal for May 2021. I'm pretty happy with the audio editing this time. I think I finally figured something out to make it sound pretty good and work for what I'm trying to do for these videos. Pretty late in the month this month because I just had trouble getting this recording done with all the stuff going off E3 and life stuff. But it's finally done, and hopefully I'll be able to edit this up quickly and put this up. This is the 17th when I'm recording this. I really would like to be able to finally get started on other video projects along with these, but I don't know, knowing how I work. Once again, thank you for watching, and be sure to like and leave a comment if you watch this all this way through, because it lets me know that people are actually watching this far, and engagement like that lets me know that someone's watching. I'm just throwing these videos into a void. Alright, thank you, and see you next time.